A very good evening. Welcome to the Library of Mythical Ireland. I'm Anthony Murphy. This is a special live stream. You're all very welcome along. We are streaming live and simultaneously on the Mythical Ireland Facebook page, the Mythical Ireland community on Facebook, and also the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/Mythical Ireland. I hope everybody is keeping well and that you enjoyed the past two live streams. This is the third one of the week, which is quite a record considering we haven't done daily live streams for quite a while since we were back in the throes of the pandemic last year. Special live stream tonight to reveal to you the new cover of the forthcoming Mythical Ireland. Are we on YouTube? I'm not seeing the stream on YouTube. I may have to start this again. Not seeing it on YouTube. Dang. I see Robin Rickman and Guido Bruce on Facebook. Oh, it's there, all right. All right, great stuff. Anne Scott Doherty's in the house, as is Garage or Ranagon. Good evening. Mandy McCurley's on YouTube. Hello, Mandy. Karen Burns. Yes, to YouTube. And Archaeoastronomy Database also on YouTube says it is working for me. Guido says I saw it on YouTube. Yes. Wasn't quite revealing itself to me. Anyway, the cover design has been ongoing for a couple of weeks. Actually, there were something like a dozen or maybe 14 different iterations of the cover designed. This was whittled down in consultation with the publisher to a few that stood out. And of those, the Mythical Ireland patrons at, there you go, where is it? Patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. The Mythical Ireland patrons were the ones who had the final vote. They are the ones who've decided the winner of the three. So there you go. But anyway, just to keep you sort of on the edge of your seats, so to speak, I'm sure you're all tremendously excited about this. Well, I hope you are. We'll keep saying hello to people for a few minutes. Mariana Dunn is in the house, as is Kathy Mark. Daisy Peters is here. Dawn Freeman. Hello, Dawn. Janet Moran says it's a beautiful sunny day in Boston. Well, it was cloudy and rainy here this afternoon and cold, but apparently there's a warm spell coming tomorrow, and it's going to be warm in Ireland for 10 days. So the weather forecasters are saying Helena Breen is in the house. Archaeoastronomy Database is here twice. ArchDB and Archaeoastronomy Database. Joan McHugh is in the house. Hello, Joan. Welcome along. Tom King. Oh, a treat. Good evening, Anthony. And hello, the mighty Tua. Yes, indeed. Hello, our great smith in the smithy, in the forge. How are you keeping? Martina Maguire. Yes, it's also great to see you. Missy Watson is here. Hello, Missy. Karen Faye O'Loughlin is in the house. Clear skies at last after a whole summer of wildfire smoke. Yeah. And Bob Beston Bostel is here. Rob, should I say. We haven't seen you in a while, Rob. Hope you are well. Anyway, let me just check that everything is working fine. I'll just keep an eye on the Mythical Ireland community because some people's comments don't appear here, which is disgraceful if you ask me. Anyway, so here follows a very brief history of the publications, plural, of yours truly and Mythical Ireland. Yeah, I think this is going to be a bit of fun. Let's hope you can all keep your interest for a few minutes. How many people are watching? 47. Well, there you go. There's 47 people who are desperately stuck for entertainment and with nothing to watch on the TV that they're watching live streams on Mythical Ireland. Yeah, fantastic. Great. Yeah, so it all started. Here's the history. It all started when I was born. No, it all started. Anyway, sorry, a quick joke. Let's just settle the nerves here for a second. Yes, indeed, all good, and I hope you're good as well. Is it Alina? Harbinson, you're very welcome along. Katie McMahon is waving. Hello. Alan Curran is in Drogheda. There you go. Great place. Best town in the world. By far, definitely. So, yeah, I should all start that. In addition to the fact that I've recently furnished my publisher with the new material for Mythical Ireland, which is being republished next month. We'll get to that. I've just finished my latest book, which is an A to F of laziness. Helen Hirsch Chatter is in the house. Hello there, Helen. Welcome along. Oh, by the way, that book, The A to F of Laziness, is part of a series. The second book in the series is about procrastination, but I'll write that later. Brendan has the exact response that most people should be making right now, which is no comment. Helen is sending face palms. Mandy McCurl is laughing. Thank you, Mandy. Somebody has sympathy for me. Yeah, anyway, so it all started back in 2006 with the publication of Island of the Setting Sun in Search of Ireland's Ancient Astronomers. It has to be said that that remains, to this moment in time, that remains the largest book in terms of word count. I think the initial edition had something like 90,000 words. It was later expanded and it had 100,000. Island of the Setting Sun is a bit more like a thesis, and written in conjunction with my good friend, the artist Richard Moore. Oh God, you do not want to see the pictures. Anyway, that's as close as you're going to see them. That is that was taken around 17, 18 years ago, maybe. No, hang on. It was probably taken around 2005. That's 16 years ago when I was 10. And Richard looks very, very young and fresh in that image. But anyway, time marches on. That did very well, sold out within a year, and then was expanded, revised and expanded. Revised and updated edition. And the revised and updated edition had the old red star on the cover and some quotes about the book. Refreshing and fascinating, a wonderful, magical book, sumptuously illustrated, and a must for anyone who loves to delve deep into our past. That was a review by Kenny's Bookshop. A fascinating insight into Ireland's ancient burial sites. Irish Independent. A monument. Drogheda Independent. There you go. But yeah, that was quite a journey, going from first book to selling out in a short time. So that was 2008. It was a while before I produced anything else. But in 2012 came Newgrange Monument to Immortality. That was reprinted in, I think, 2016. Now, the funny thing about Newgrange Monument to Immortality is it continues to do quite well, but it now requires a substantial overhaul, substantial updating, and mainly because of the science of genomics, DNA, and the things that we have learned. That was published in 2012. The things that we have learned in the past 9 years, require portions of that book to be completely rewritten, believe it or not. I do hope to get round to that next year. I can't see myself getting round to it this side of Christmas. I have too many other projects on the go. But it won't be reprinted as is because of the fact that some of it's literally out of date and it contains information that we thought was accurate at the time, but is no longer accurate. I'd like to take a more comprehensive approach to the mythology of Newgrange. The next year, in 2013, I produced my first work of fiction, which was a novella called Land of the Ever-Living Ones. And that's out of print at the moment. Planning to bring that back into print in perhaps even a smaller format. It's the sort of book you'd read it in. A quick reader might read it in an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, you get through it in no time. And then that was, what did I say, 2013. And then in 2018, 2016, The Cry of the Sevach was published on Kindle, and that's my first novel, first sort of proper sized work of fiction. And this is inspired by the story of Fintan MacBocra, who we were talking about last night in our live stream about Tuan MacCarroll. Tinkle Tink wants to know if there's an old Grange under the new Grange. That's actually a very good question. Certainly, Professor O'Kelly believed so. There was an old turf mound. So there was an older monument under the one that we see today. Fascinating question. Tony Stone is watching from Surrey in England. Burr Whelan is in the house. Hello, Burr. Joan wants to know where the murals are. They're on Dyer Street, Dyer Street. If you look for the Fitzwilliam Court Park multi-story car park, or the AIB Bank, they're both in that building. So that was the first sort of proper foray into novel writing. 2017 came Mythical Ireland, New Light on the Ancient Past. That's the one we're talking about tonight. That, I think, now occupies a significant place in my heart. If somebody said to me, I want to read your books, but I want to start with one, where will I start? I would say either Mythical Ireland or Island of the Setting Sun. I think if you're not an astronomer, Mythical Ireland will be easier to digest. I think Island will probably be a bit heavier. But I'm a Mythical Ireland full of my colour photography. Quite lusciously and generously illustrated with color photography throughout, and a lovely gift book. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a moment. Mythical Ireland was first published in 2017 and reprinted in 2019, so you'll see that there. 2017 copyright 2017, Anthony Murphy, reprinted 2019. But about to get a substantial increase in size. In 2019, following the marvelous, magical summer of 2018, I published Dronehenge, the story behind the remarkable discovery at Newgrange, which was about the discovery of this gigantic 520-foot wide monument close to Newgrange, which nobody had known was there, in the company of my good friend Ken Williams. And that's the kind of the story of the discovery, and a little bit of speculation, I suppose you could call it, because without excavation we can't say for sure. But about what the henges plural might have been used for. That's the story of Dronehenge. Last year, 2020, Island of the Setting Sun got another revision and another update and was republished, 2020 edition with new preface, and some of it was updated. Cover was updated as well. The cover, if you notice, actually I'll show you the three. Let's have a look at the three iterations. So you'll see there are smaller photographs on the cover of Island, and you'll see there on the new edition, the middle one there of Newgrange is different. It's a replacement, and you'll see the one of the Maiden's Tower on this one is replaced with Leah Foyle, etc. So, and then the back cover was different. So the back cover used to be Richard's painting of Cygnus over Newgrange, and then it became the solstice light streaming into Newgrange. So yeah, it's funny when you view them side on, you can actually see the expansion. The first edition is thinnest. The revised, the second, this 2008 expansion is a bit bigger, and then the 2020 edition is thicker again. And then 2021 came along, and this has been quite a year. It began with the publication of Return to Segish in February or March, one or the other, earlier in the year, and then followed with the two monographs, the Finn monograph and the Bowen monograph, all published this year. Three in a year. I went from having 6 books published to 9, and I don't know, you couldn't, I don't think, count the expanded Mythical Ireland as number 10. Michael Darby's in the land of Oz. Brilliant. Super stuff. Good morning to you. Karen Gogus is in the house. Hello, Karen. And I need to give Karen a very special mention, because part of the cover of the Dronehenge book is Karen's 3-dimensional recreation of what Dronehenge might have looked like. I'm going to show you briefly just one or two of his images. Kerem helped bring it to life, because looking at that, you mightn't necessarily be able to reconstruct it in your mind. But when you look at that, you suddenly say, ooh, oh, so that's what it might have looked like. So Kerem's fabulous work really helped us to visualize what Dronehenge might have looked like. Yeah, so all of my non-fiction work, with the exception of the monographs, has been published by Liffey Press. And as you can see, they're all the same proportions, dimensions. And all of the books have what we call French flaps, which are these flaps that open out from the cover, which contain extra information. They also help to keep the book flat. Certain types of book, the covers sort of just over time bend up and that, and it makes it just a heavier and more a more gift-worthy production, I suppose. So yeah, the new edition of Mythical Ireland will be the same dimensions, but thicker, because the new edition of Mythical Ireland will have an extra 20,000 words. If it's not equal to the expanded version of Ireland, it is very, very close. The two of them will be very, very similar in terms of word count. The honour was all mine, Kerem. I can assure you it was brilliant to have you involved. Helen says, I aspire to have a Dronehenge. Well, I'll tell you what, if you've got a bit of land, build one. Build one. Even build one in miniature, you know. Yes, indeed. This is like the beginnings of Mythflix in 2020, says Joe Butler. 3 days in a row. Very nice to be with you again. Yeah, those were sort of strange days. At least we kind of have a better feeling about where things are going now, you know. 90% plus of adults in Ireland are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. We Irish, we're very sensible. When is the new edition of Mythical Ireland coming out, Michael? Well, I'm pleased to tell you that in addition to showing you the cover, that live tonight, while you're watching, I'm going to enable pre-ordering on the website. You can't see it just yet, but in a couple of moments, you'll be able to pre-order. All going well. I have received a proof from the publisher. I'm going to proofread and make some edits. Little back and forth just a couple of times. And hopefully, all going well, it'll go to print in about 2 weeks' time. And should be available around Samhain in around a month's time. We can't be absolutely clear about that, and that's simply because apparently there's, as well as difficulties getting steel and other hard what you call them, other inputs, not inputs, other raw materials, should I say. Paper apparently is one that might be difficult at the moment. So all going well, it will dispatch from here in November. Anybody who pre-orders will get a copy signed by my good self. Brendan keeps wondering why there isn't a Glendalough Henge, as it is a special place. I, like you, would be very surprised if there wasn't a pre-Christian, prehistoric activity there, you know. I'd be really surprised if there wasn't something that predated all of the monastic settlement there. Anyway, so now I have to share. Give me a moment, please. Bear with me for a moment, and perhaps if you want, you could get a drum roll going. Let me see. My hard drive is waking up. Here we go. Right. Now, the question is, how do I share that with you, lovely folks? Well, I know it starts with clicking the share button. Yes, looking forward to seeing some of you in the flesh. Yeah, that could be organized, definitely. It'll be interesting to see people face to face. rather than just virtually, which is, which was a lifesaver during the pandemic. It really was. It helped to keep all of us sane and feeling connected. And I'd like to think that it was a nice, safe place for people to gather. But now that things are opening up again, it would be lovely to meet some of you face to face. I have done a certain number of you. For instance, Adele Perth, who was watching yesterday and the day before, who lives in Australia. I met Adele in Ireland. The late, great Kelly Edmiston, who was watching all our streams until her sudden passing, was another one who I had met. But looking forward to great stuff, Joe. Thank you for that. Glad to hear that you have an interest. Most of you I haven't met, so it would be nice. Anyway, here we go. Here we go. Keep the suspense going. Understand. Here we go. Hopefully. Drum roll, please. Here we go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Facebook crashes. Nobody joking. There we go. Mythical Ireland, new light on the ancient past, revised and expanded edition. A totally different approach from the previous. I think you'll agree. I should explain just briefly. I'm not sure if you can still see me or you can just see the cover. I'm seeing the cover, but with a tiny little me at the side. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to see me. You see enough of me, for God's sake. So one of the reasons that, apart from visually, this really works, and it works as a single image across the whole cover. It wraps around from the front, across the spine, onto the back cover. Yes, Karen Stump, I have my my hand gel here. One of the reasons, yes, that was one of the reasons it works very well, because it wraps as a single image. And when you see it on the cover only, the cover only actually works as well. So if you just give me a moment, I will open the cover only so that you can see that the cover only also works. Now, give me a sec. Sorry about this, folks. Show you now again. Yeah, here we go. So there is the cover only. So that's what you'll see on the bookshelf. Well, you might see the spine, but if it's face out on the bookshelf, that's what you'll see. And I think you'll agree that image works quite well just on the cover. But you know, the whole thing also works very well, I think. And that is similar to the original, which was reprinted. There was no changes made on the reprint, where the cover image covers the whole cover from front to back. That is all part of one photograph. This is the Dogda's Mound, Mound B. The Boyne River is here, just at the bottom of the image, and Newgrange Sheedenbroga at twilight, misty twilight. And yeah, I just really loved that. Yeah, but just to get back to for a moment to the new one, and just to explain something else. So there were different images chosen. Some of them were aerial photographs of Newgrange and Nouth. Some were photographs of Stone's megalithic art. Some were daytime shots. Some were nighttime shots. Some were shots with a lot of lush greenery in them. And out of the 12 or 14, I think there were 14, there were maybe 5 or 6 that stood out, and then there were 3 in particular that stood out. So we made it easy for the patrons. The patrons voted overwhelmingly for this one, although they liked all 3. So yeah, this is what I wanted to explain. I'll get the words out eventually. I see none of this is scripted. I do all this, as you know, off the cuff. Newgrange has been closed to the public. The interior of Newgrange has been closed to the public throughout the pandemic. So from the middle of March, probably the 13th of March 2020 until now. It's still not open. Nobody has been in there. So that image that you're looking at is an image of a sacred place that is now sort of off bounds to the public. Now, look, I'm not entirely sure what the plan is. I have no information about that, about when the OPW and National Monument Service intend to let the public back in there. I think 22nd of October is the date when all restrictions in Ireland end. So I imagine perhaps that's when it will happen. So there's something, first of all, that's immediately sort of very special about, the feeling that you're in that space looking out. And the other wonderful thing that I thought worked really well was the feeling that you're emerging from darkness into light. That feeling of being drawn towards this beautiful golden light from the dark chamber, the dark and cold chamber. A metaphor, I think you might agree, for our coming emergence from this pandemic, which, has been quite disastrous for a lot of people and has affected life around the whole world, actually, has affected people's lives in many ways. It had a lot of silver linings for me personally and for Mythical Ireland. The live streams began the night of Thursday, the 12th of March 2020, when our government announced the lockdowns and that the schools were closing the next day. It was a strange, strange time. Nobody knew what the future held. Nobody knew. I didn't know if I was going to be in a job, next month or 3 months down the line. We had kids here who were at school who had to study at home, and it was really strange time. And we had 20k lockdowns, we had 5k lockdowns, and for a while we had 2k lockdowns. And I think you might remember I was doing live streams from Drogheda. I couldn't even get to Doubt, except for when it opened up from 2 kilometers to 5 kilometers. So there's a lovely feeling, I think, with the new cover of emerging from that darkness towards that light. And of course, look, principally, the largest of the sections is about Newgrange. In the existing Mythical Ireland, there are 7 sections. They are Sheedenbroga, which is about Newgrange, Cnogba August Dua, which is Nouth and Douth, Shlevna which is Lough Crew. Section 4 is called Megaliths and Monuments, and again, that's because it's not specific to one location. The Boyne Valley is section 5, broadening things out, not just looking at megaliths, looking at things like Sheila na Gigs and Tara Brooches and the goddess of the Boyne River, etc. 6 is called The Meaning of Myth, and 7 is Cosmology. Well, now you see, in the revised and expanded edition, there'll be 2 new chapters on Newgrange, which will mean Newgrange has 10 chapters in it. There are several new chapters spread throughout the book. Newgrange, I suppose, is the starting point of the investigation, and a lot of the material in Mythical Ireland is the new material that, if I hadn't published Mythical Ireland, I would have been pushing into the new version of Newgrange Monument Immortality, or a replacement for same. So really, the section on Newgrange in Mythical Ireland is designed to, be the new information pertaining to Newgrange, to sort of bring you up to date with it, I just love the light. I love the potency of it. And sure, look, that's the experience of Newgrange at solstice. The experience is that you're in the darkness, you're in the void, you're in the chamber, and you're detached from reality, as it were. Your senses are perhaps dulled if you spend a lot of time in there. I think that it's quite possible that people spent the whole night in there before the dawn. And in fact, it's hinted at in mythology. This thing of 3 days and 3 nights comes up in lots of, excuse me, I needed to sneeze, comes up quite a lot in Irish mythology. One wonders whether perhaps a neophyte or even one of the elect was spending quite a lot of time in there before the coming of the dawn on the solstice. And there's just that lovely feeling of light pervading the darkness and drawing you out into other worlds, which of course is a potent theme in the mythology of the great monuments. The idea that they were portals between this world and what you might call, the other world, Tír na Nog, Tír na Meo, Tír Torngre, worlds beyond this one, planes of existence, planes of consciousness beyond this one. Anyway, that's the story. Brendan makes what I consider to be a lovely comment. That's Jules. Thank you, Jules. Mythical Ireland allowed the light to continue to be visible when the darkness threatened to consume us. Well, I'm glad that some people think that, and it was a great honor for me to be able to sort of facilitate that. Portal to sacred space, says Mandy. Yeah. The other thing is too that I think that before the pandemic, it strikes me that I'm very privileged to have been a sort of a guide, a virtual guide, as it were, and a physical one, because Mythical Ireland, until the pandemic, I did private tours as well. But it's been a great privilege to be based in the Boyne Valley, to be living close to these monuments, to be able to visit them regularly, but also then to do live streams and to do my photography and do all the blog posts and to share all that information. And I just realized after a while, this is it seems to be, there's a great reception to that. There's a great reaction to it. People seem to love, people seem to love being able to watch from afar, as if they were in that sacred space themselves, or at least that they were able to see and hear the sounds of Newgrange. I mean, me, I have been known to do live streams from Newgrange at twilight, at dusk, when the last birds are singing. And, whereas I might be the only person there when I'm streaming, there are people all around the world who are tuning in, just watching it usually on a phone or an iPad or a computer, who are just sort of drawn into the experience of the Boyne Valley and feeling that from afar, which has been wonderful. So that's kind of the way I was looking at it. Visually, it just happened to be the most striking of all. And it's like the light is leading you to a mystery. It's a funny thing about the cover. You're looking from the void, from the darkness, towards the entrance, towards the light. You're looking to emerge, basically. I could have done like that image on the back of Ireland. I could have done a chamber image, and the chamber image, don't get me wrong, is beautiful in its own right. There it is on the top right of the screen, the Mythical Ireland logo there. That's the image. But it still sort of has the feeling of sort of being enclosed in the dark space, whereas this one has the feeling, I think it's an optimistic statement, And also that in bringing new light, as it were, that is... See, the title of the book came from the title and subtitle of the website. When I established the Mythical Ireland website in March of the year 2020, it was called Mythical Ireland, New Light on the Ancient Past, and that has stuck throughout its 21-year iteration. When it came to publishing a book in 2017, the publisher said, "Any ideas what we'll call it?" And I said, "Well, I just had an idea that we could call it Mythical Ireland, New Light." And he loved it. He loved it. And then I explain in the preface or the introduction, I explain, why, I felt it was important. And of course, the book contains in printed form a lot of material which was only previously available in what you might call virtual form, in the form of web pages, blog posts, videos, podcasts, etc. And I felt it was very important, and I still do. I'm a firm believer in the printed word, that it's all very well having that digital, virtual, online space, and it's great, don't get me wrong, the technology is wonderful. And with the social media platforms, it enables you to do so much. But there's just something about commemorating that and making it more permanent in the printed word and the printed photographs, something that people can hold in their hands and have on their bookshelves when they don't want to be near a computer, when they're exhausted from being online, when they're square-eyed from scrolling through social media sites, that they can pick a book off their shelf and sit down and read it and enjoy it and really feel that they were engrossed between its covers, So that was all part of the whole ethos of Mythical Ireland. I was surprised that Liffey Press was so enthusiastic about the title, but then afterwards it made complete sense to me that that should be so. Mythical Ireland, people have said to me, Anthony, do you not know the difference? And here is something that I want to say quite clearly. People have said, do you not know the difference? You know that mythical means something that doesn't exist. So there are three words, I suppose. There's mythic, mythical, and mythological. And in my mind, Mythical Ireland resonated because I am actually detailing an Ireland that doesn't exist. If you think about the Ireland of the Daedannans, and you think about the if you read, I mean, from the prologue, and there's a couple of paragraphs of it on the back cover. So I urge you to come like the Tuatha De Danann, come in a mist, arrive magically, and ask Eru gently if perchance you can stay a while and dance and sing upon her carpet of tender green, and write joyous words and sing merry songs about netherworlds concealed in the ditches and vales of our beautiful quarters. The whole thing is predicated around the fact that our mythology offers us a vision of another world that some people might say it doesn't exist. You know, we can't physically see it, we can't go there as such without entering altered states, or perhaps dying, perhaps as I talk about in Newgrange Monument to Immortality, perhaps in dying and coming back again, you know, going to that world beyond and then coming back to this one to relay information about it. So all the time I was conscious of the fact that I could have called it Mythic Ireland, but there was a book called Mythic Ireland, which was Michael Dames's book, which was later published as Ireland: A Sacred Journey. We've spoken about that in the episodes about the alignment of Ishnach with Slieve na Calia and Slieve Gullion. I could have called it Mythological Ireland, you know, mythological pertaining to the myth of Ireland. But I felt Mythical Ireland resonated best because, yes, we are actually talking about an Ireland that, to all intents and purposes, doesn't appear to exist. But when you probe deeper, this whole idea of new light on the ancient past, it's about probing deeper. It's not just about looking at what the scientists have told us, the archaeologists, the anthropologists, the surveyors, the architects and engineers, the geneticists, you know. It was about looking at it from the point of view of a poet, about looking at it from the point of view of a druid, you know, coming at it from all sides, a holistic approach to the monuments, to the landscape, to the mythological material. And what emerges from that constantly is this vision of other worlds. And they are precious beyond imagination and beyond description. And their existence is something that Irish people seem to be innately aware of and have been throughout generations and generations, right through recorded history and into the depths of prehistory, where we have no recorded history bar the monuments themselves and the markings on the stones. And it's all very arcane and esoteric and cloaked in mystery. And what's a wonderful thing to do is to immerse yourself into that mystery in such a way that you're just, as I feel that I have constantly done in my written work, to ask questions. And those questions pertain as much to your own human mortal existence as they do to the existence of the landscape and the monuments and the existence of people in the past. Can I find these questions very, very briefly? I should read this because I think it would give you a bit of, if you haven't read Mythical Ireland, and I know many of you have, you're also going to ask me in a moment, remind me to address this. You're going to ask me, if I have the first edition, is it worth my while getting the second? So I feel I should address that, which I will. What journey did humans embark upon when we left the forests and turned away from the hunter-gatherer lifestyle towards organized agriculture and monument construction? It was the beginning of modern civilization and perhaps the beginning of conflict between humans. It was a brave but perilous step, emerging from the woods and clearing land so that we could state in stone and earth something of our cosmology and our spirituality and of our meager understanding of the great metaphysical mysteries. These questions do not have a time frame. They are relevant today just as much as they were in ancient prehistory. Who are we? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Where is here? What is out there? Why do people die? And what happens to us when we die? It could be said that the stone monuments of the Neolithic embody those questions. Their construction was an attempt at understanding, or at least attuning to, some of these mysteries. The mythology of the great monuments of Newgrange and Douth speaks of the desire to control time on behalf of the gods or kings. Almost as if, you wanted eternity, that for you, a significant question was, can I slow down time enough that I can sort of enjoy a little bit more of this existence, because I don't really know what happens afterwards, only what I've been told. And of course, what I've been told is all the time by practitioners in the modern day. We don't know why that's happening. Pardon me. Let me see if I can get that back up without flickering. There you go. Anyway, yeah, geez, I really, really went off on a tangent, didn't I? And that is the essence of the journey of Mythical Ireland into myth and monument and landscape. The essence has been, as a poet, as a shaman, as a druid, as a king, as a peasant, as an abbot, as a monk, as a human, as somebody who is trying to, like all of us, find meaning in this journey of life. And I think all of us, regardless of how far we've come in terms of science, all of us still hold on to those questions, I think. And some of those questions are, they are eternal questions. I don't know if we'll ever have definitive answers to them. Maybe we will. Maybe there's a breakthrough coming in science in the next decade when, science will be able to perceive exactly what happens, because there's a huge body of evidence that to say that the soul doesn't die, or the consciousness doesn't expire upon physical death. And the near-death experiences, the stories of people who've experienced NDE are absolutely incredible, really incredible, and offer us, I suppose, a glimpse and a hope that there is indeed something, as the mythology of the world, not just Ireland, would seem to point to. But I hope that you agree, if you've read any of my work, that I haven't taken a haughty, egotistical, thoroughly academic viewpoint that claims to be able to answer questions. I think I have all the time asked more questions than I've been able to answer, and I think in asking those questions, you're just opening the experience, opening the mystery further. That no matter how far you've come along, and remember, I've been at this stuff for 22 years, and it feels like 2 years because it's really flown by, and it's this feeling of that Tír na nÓg, that dilation of time that you get in the mythology of Brú na Bóinne, that time dilates. It's like you actually physically enter, well, maybe not physically, but it's like physically you're always present in a landscape that is said to be able to open up easily into other worlds. And there were some visionaries and people in the past who claim to have been able to see that. George William Russell, for instance, so he was able to see into the hollow hills, and he was able to see the Daedanans and paint them, and they were luminous, brilliantly bright, human-like creatures. Fabulous stuff, you know. Have I turned into an icon? Peter wants to know. I don't know. Depends on what you call an icon. Do you? Joan McHugh is asking a question. Hang on here now. Joan McHugh is asking. By the way, Anthony, do you read over the chat on this site, as I would hope you do, in order to answer questions or perhaps prod intrigue? I do, and I try to read them. It just depends. You know, as they're flying up the screen live, I try to keep an eye on things and try to mention people when they arrive, and if there's a question, try to answer it. However, the other side of it is that sometimes when you're reading, you just sort of stuck. Like when I was reading last night, I found I wasn't able to interact quite so much. Do I go back retrospectively afterwards? Again, I try, but it really just depends on time, you know. I suppose I do my best, you know. So if there's one thing, and I want to say this before I get to the question of should you invest in the new edition, there's a question that I definitely do have opinions about, and this is about when you encounter people who are talking about mythology, who are talking about monuments and archaeology in the past, who are very, very certain about what they say and express great certainty about how they've deciphered and decoded what things are about. I am very wary of all those people. And some of them are people that I know. Some of them are people that I don't want to know, by the way. Few very creepy people out there. Few engaged in white supremacist and nationalistic ideas and Nazism. Yeah, I would always be very careful about somebody who comes on and says, all the answers are here. You just have to listen to me and follow me, and everything will be outlined to you. Be very, very, very careful. Anthony Murphy never says that. Anthony Murphy will make a case and an argument for an interpretation of mythology, but will always have the proviso or the caveat that, look, we can't know this for sure. We're basing this on scant evidence. This is my interpretation of mythology. Other people might interpret it other ways. I just don't think that it's conducive to proper research to say, I have all the answers. Yes, I have deciphered it and decoded it. You don't need to look anywhere else for the answers. Anyway, right now, I'm making the pre-ordering available live on the website. And so if you go into mythicalireland.com, go to gallery and shop, go into books, my books, you should see Mythical Ireland pre-order revised and expanded edition of Mythical Ireland. Click on that. Just make sure the purchase now button does actually work. I know that you might look at the price and say the postage in Ireland is unfortunately expensive. The book is €30 plus postage and packaging. So if you see a higher price, you'll know that's why. Anyway, so to share that right now, I'm going to share that on the Mythical Ireland Facebook page first as a comment under this live stream. Let me just paste that in there. There we go. Also on the Mythical Ireland community on Facebook. Oh, Facebook's not loading. Another crash? Heaven forbid. What would we do? We'd have to talk to each other for an hour. Paste. I think I should slow down. And on the YouTube stream, you'll probably hear my voice here now twice. Oh my God, as if once wasn't enough. You'll probably hear my voice. Yeah, there you go. And I'm going to paste it in there as a comment as well. I would love to be able to paste it in as a comment using Melon app, but Melon app doesn't seem to want to post back to the pages, which is annoying. But anyway. There you go. There's the link where you can go and pre-order your copy. So to address the question, if you have it, you have a beautiful book, I think. You have a book that explores all those themes that we've just been talking about. It's full of beautiful photography, etc., etc. If you don't get the revised edition, It won't be the end of the world, but you will suffer from FOMO. FOMO. And I'm not sure if any of you or all of you know what that is, but I only actually heard that in the past year or two. A friend of mine said it one day. Oh, I've got such a terrible feeling of FOMO, and I was like, "What the hell is FOMO?" And she said, "Feeling of missing out." Thanks, Peter Paul Donahue. 7-3. I didn't get the call sign, Peter. I should remember it, but pardon me for not. No, not FOMO, says Joan. Look, I'm not going to try and I'm not, I'm trying to try and force the matter one way or the other. With the revised edition, you'll be getting a new cover, a new. The prologue will stay the same, but the introduction will probably be updated. You'll get 20,000 words in the form of, I think it's 10 new chapters and a couple of updated pre-existing chapters, and a whole load of new photographs as well. So I don't know. It's entirely up to you, But look, put it this way. If you have it, right, what you could do is you could gift your existing copy to a friend or a relative and then buy the new one for yourself for Christmas. How does that sound? Now, don't forget also, in the same breath, I must also remind you that the 2022 Mythical Ireland calendar is going to be printed by the end of this month, so in about 3 weeks' time, and I will be hopefully dispatching those at the beginning of November at Samhain, with the hope that I can get all of those pre-orders out into the world, and then pretty quickly after that follow with the new Mythical Ireland. So if you hadn't seen it before, I'm happy to go back and show you the cover. I had shared it before, but anyway, here's a reminder. Here is the cover of the Mythical Ireland 2022 calendar. Hope you love it. I personally love it, but then I'm biased. There you go, folks. There's the 2022 Mythical Ireland calendar. Just it reminds me actually of the original Mythical Ireland book cover, in that it has this view of Newgrange through the mist, but it's a zoomed in image, as it were. And yeah, I hope you agree that that's a lovely, striking image. And I just love the fact that the date can sit in the sky and not really interfere with the image, and those lovely layers of mist on the fields, Leon Leach has an interesting suggestion, which is to donate your previous copy to your local library or school. Brilliant. Yes, indeed, Leon. Thank you for that fabulous suggestion. Javier, thank you very much for that comment. I think it is a striking image, and I'm glad you agree. Helena says it's very calming looking. Yes, I couldn't agree. Sorry, Helena's comment was that one. And Peter, what's happening with electrical equipment and computers lately? I don't know. I didn't mention the F word tonight, did I? I might have, but if I did, there you go. Mandy says correctly that 10 new chapters is another book. Yeah, there's quite a lot of it, Neil Hughes, we are all FOMO sapiens. I love it. Brilliant. Michael Darby thinks I'm a true salesman. Well, if I have to, I'll go door to door, Michael. I will. I'll go door to door. I will find you all. I will hunt you down, and I will arrive at your front door saying, 2022 calendar, anybody? Mythical Ireland, revised and expanded edition, anybody? Perhaps? So that's the story. That's it, folks. Hope I hope you like it. That is it. It at this point isn't going to be changed, bar there may be very minor cosmetic adjustments, very slight, perhaps change to the colour of Mythical Ireland, the title there, to more closely match the golden sunlight colour. But other than that, it won't. It probably won't change, Irish Technical Thinker has arrived. Hello there, Marcus. Good evening to you. Robin Rickman wants me to sign her calendar. Robin, I think you pre-ordered already, didn't you? I must pull out that invoice and just take a note on it that you want it signed, because I actually don't sign them as a rule, because it's hard to know where to sign them. Do you sign them on the front cover? Do you sign them on one of the months, or do you sign them on the reverse at the back? And the funny thing is, the reverse at the back is one of the months. There is no backing on it, as it were. So there you go. Okay, Robin, I must. Do you know what? I better just take a note of that now, because otherwise I'll forget. Robin Rickman, sign calendar. Yes, I can do that. Absolutely, no problem. Yeah, so that's the cover of your 2022 calendar. That is designed and pretty much ready to go to print. I just have to double check the astronomical dates to make sure that all the cross quarter dates and the equinoxes and solstices are all in the right place and all that, you know. Yeah, so Mythical Ireland's getting a significant change, but I'm not upset about losing the original image, because, you know, at the end of the day, I believe that will stand the test of time anyway. You know, it is a beautiful image. I think there's this sort of, I don't know, it's kind of a deep purple hue, isn't it? It's just the way that twilight turned out. I have taken a few versions of that photograph from that location at twilight with mist, and none of them matches that. It's a very blue purpley picture. It just happened to be that the blue hour was particularly deep that evening. You know, it was gorgeous. So anyway, that's the story. Any questions before we head off? Thank you very much. I would also say that don't forget, we have to continue with the second of the series on Tuam Macarroll. I don't intend to do that tomorrow, because tomorrow I'll be playing music, all going well. And Friday, you know about Friday, during the pandemic, I didn't mind doing the live streams early on a Friday, but Friday is date night here in the Murphy household. And Mrs. Murphy always looks forward to sitting down to the food provided by Chef Murphy, and a glass of vino and a little bit of Netflix or a movie or something. So it'll probably be Monday before we'll get back to Tuam Macarroll, but there's no harm, you know, keeping you waiting. You know, you'll enjoy it. Now, Karen, is that a hint for somebody else to get you this as a birthday present, or are you going to treat yourself? I got Island of the Setting Sun for my October birthday last year. Happy birthday, by the way, if it's coming soon. Hope you get revised Mythical for my birthday this year. Mm-hmm. If there's a significant other there who should be listening, listen carefully. Get your order in. Happy music making and cooking, Anthony. Take care, all. That's Mariana Dunn. Hello, Mariana. Great to see you, as always. Thank you, Donna. Donna likes the new cover, covers plural, which is brilliant. We are the choir, says Donna. Yeah, great. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so one of the challenges that I'm thinking about, look, you might as well, I think I've already said it to the patrons on the patron only videos, but one of the challenges that I'm thinking about is, you know, is what happens to Newgrange Monument to Immortality, which is almost sold out. And the reason that's a dilemma is, if I call it Newgrange Monument to Immortality, I'm conscious of the fact that it's really not going to be the same as a revised and expanded. Island was a revised and expanded edition. The new Mythical Ireland is going to build on what's there. Newgrange, I don't know. I've got a feeling that Newgrange is going to have to be more comprehensively overhauled. That it might really deserve to be called something, you know, with a new title on it. You know, difficult enough as this might be to believe, nobody, scholar, archaeologist, journalist, author, researcher, nobody has yet published a book dealing with all of the mythology pertaining to Newgrange. And I think that's the challenge that I've set myself for next year. But that requires a serious investment of time. And we're still working full time here, trying to fit everything in. So there you go. Newgrange, says Neil Hughes. Yes, indeed. And we could talk about Old Grange, the new the Grange that was under Newgrange when Newgrange was new. Trust your instincts, says Donna. Yeah, absolutely. I really love the title Newgrange Monument to Immortality. And actually, it resonates even more so now with the results of that DNA survey last year about that man that was found in there, that he may have believed in his own immortality. But yeah, that's something to think about, and I have been thinking about for a while, but I haven't done anything in terms of positive action, you know. Kathy Maydeo is in the house. Hello there. Hard to get service at my new work building. Almost missed this. Hope you're all well. But it's good to see you, Kathy. We're just winding up, actually. But one more look. If you haven't seen it, I was sharing the cover of the new edition of Mythical Ireland. I don't know why that's blinking like that. So there's the new cover of Mythical Ireland, the revised and expanded edition, which is currently being proofread and will hopefully be published within a month and available. Well, it will be distributed next month, but pre-orders can be taken now on the website. Just launched tonight. Elaine Dent Lingenfelter makes a very relevant point, which is I could write about washing machine repair. Well, in fact, you'd be glad to know that the washing machine is back in situ, is working, and is not leaking. Yay! Victory! So yes, maybe. Joan says, if we can help, just ask. You have many willing to help. I have to actually throw out a big thank you to several of the Mythical Ireland patrons who helped with proofreading of the works that were published this year. The patrons were very gracious and generous with their time. So yeah, it's brilliant. The amount of people that are willing to help, and the support is so heartening and wonderful, you know. Exciting news, says Facebook user. Who is Facebook user? That's somebody that's Michael Pike on the Mythical Ireland community. Tracy is saying that the auto caption is having a hard time keeping up with you. That was the bit about slowing down. And Gero Jabranigon says Drogheda is best after Ballyfermot, bar none. Well, I did actually work in not in Ballyfermot, but just around the corner from it in Bluebell. Ballyfermot was sort of a haunt of mine for a while. Ballyfermot versus Drogheda. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might disagree with you there, Garage, just slightly. But then I might be biased, you know. Anyway, have a great evening, everybody. Hope you're all in good form. Thank you for joining us. That's 3 streams in a row. As always, I am very grateful to you for everything that you do. I'm very grateful to have the support of Mythical Ireland patrons, who you really don't know how important they are to making sure that all this stuff happens. Also, to all of those who invest in my work, who have bought my books and my photography, a gracious and heartfelt thank you. It means so much. Yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thanks. And yeah, like reading it and providing positive feedback, leaving a review, for instance, on Amazon or on Goodreads, this all helps. Thank you again for all of it. So I'm not sure when we'll see you again. I'm always promising to do a live stream sort of from the monuments, but then I just never seem to get the time because that's how hectic things are. But you can see why, I hope, in the amount of material that's being produced from the Mythical Ireland headquarters here in the Boyne Valley in Drogheda. Julianne Osborne is in the house. I'm not sure if I said hello to you earlier on, Julianne. I'm not sure that I did. But I hope you enjoyed sitting watching the TV today. Yes, indeed. Jason says, keep producing and I will keep buying. Brilliant stuff. Excellent. Yeah, so any more questions? Feel free to fire me an email at mythicalireland@gmail.com. Please, I would advise you to do that rather than trying to contact me by Facebook message. And certainly, if you're going to try to contact me by Facebook message, do it through the Mythical Ireland page and not to my personal account. Because I kind of get a little bit inundated with stuff and it's a bit difficult to keep up with it all. and sometimes people don't get answered, and I'm sorry. I am actually genuinely sorry about that. I'd love to be like Patrick Moore, the late great astronomer, the English astronomer, who answered every single letter that anybody ever sent him personally. But then remember what Morgan Llewellyn said in her interview. Well, the patrons are the only ones who've seen that so far, but she said that she didn't want to become like the author who was only known for one bestseller because she spent the rest of her life answering her fan mail. She didn't have time to write. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, lovely. It's always a great pleasure to have you guys join us here in the Mythical Ireland Library. I feel like you're part of a wide, extended family, a group of like minds scattered across the world. And I look forward to, as I say, the opportunity to meet some of you in the flesh at some point in the near future, hopefully. Thanks, Tom. Glad you enjoyed the hat trick. Good stuff. Certainly will, Tom. No problem at all. Enjoy the dram. Gonna have a wee half glass of wine myself before I hit the hay. Thanks a million, everybody. Good evening. As always, Ikawa. Good night. Kulasov. Sound sleep. Slán go fóill. Bye for now. And Toga Bugay. Take it easy.